There were rumors online that Barbie 2 is in the works at Warner Brothers. They have since denied these claims, but I want to talk about just the idea of what a Barbie sequel could or would be. I thought it was a question of when, not if, because of the amount of money that the first one made. $1.4 billion. They don't learn their lesson from a win. They just double down on the surface level aspects of these films, like, oh, it's based on a toy, so we're going to make a bunch of toy movies. Like the Polly Pocket movie, that's still in development, but apparently no Barbie 2.
You know, if they made a Polly Pocket movie, I think they have it wrong. I think they should be making a Mighty Max movie. Mighty Max was like the boys' version of Polly Pocket. And what they need to do is they need to make a Mighty Max movie and get the people who made Ant-Man together to make the Mighty Max movie. If they're going to make a toy movie, that's what they should do.
I've never even heard of that. I've heard of G.I. Joe, obviously.
Yes.
But
Mighty Max, I mean, G.I. Joe is a little bit more timeless.
I want to see a love triangle where Ken and G.I. Joe are fighting for Barbie's love.
They could do that.
I think that could be a Barbie too.
And then Cobra Commander comes in and steals her because she's into the bad boys.
Right. Well, I thought that G.I. Joe would be the bad boy.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
We'll get Snake Eyes to come in.
Yeah.
We can do that.
This was the supposedly false report from The Hollywood Reporter. Barbie sequel in the early stages as Greta Gerwig and her husband, Noah Baumbach, settle on a story idea. Per two sources, the writers have an idea for the sequel to the $1.4 billion blockbuster, though reps for Warner Brothers and the filmmakers themselves deny that it's in the works. I'm guessing if this film were in early stages of development, they would deny it.
Yeah.
They would say it's not happening, so we don't really know.
One of the problems right now is it's like Star Wars. Every 2 days they announce some new movie that eventually gets canceled or they just pretend like, poof, it's gone. Wasn't there this movie announced? Yes. Nobody remembers.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers.
The Hollywood Reporter learned from a well-placed source that Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach have been swept up and hatched an idea for a Barbie sequel, having already brought it to Warner Brothers. And while it's said to be in early stages, it's understood that finding the story has opened the door for deal talk, which again is early, another source with direct knowledge confirms. However, a rep for Warner Brothers and a rep for the filmmakers push back, saying there is no legitimacy to this reporting and it's completely inaccurate, basically.
You know what's funny is the real movie, they could make a great comedy out of a Ken spinoff.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the problem.
But only if it's Ryan Gosling, obviously.
Exactly. No. And here's the problem. They would write it and not realize, they could write it and they would think that the men are going to hate it, but the men are going to end up loving it. And the women will love it. And kind of in the same way that they thought they wrote The Boys to own the conservatives, and then the conservatives this is, in the early seasons, they're like, this is awesome. You can write him dumb, but as long as you put in some type of emotional through line and a lesson in there, his natural charisma will carry the movie to a certain level of success on its own. I don't think it even has to have a deep emotional through line or even a message, because one of the things that I've learned is that Greta Gerwig, at least when she's giving interviews, now this could be something she just does to get away from the question, but she doesn't really answer questions about her movies that well.
No.
We talked about how when she would be asked questions about the feminist messaging in Barbie, she would just kind of start just bloviating.
It was just word salad.
Yeah, word salad. So the same thing kind of happened recently when she's Chronicles of Narnia is about rock and roll, and everyone's like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, meanwhile,
what does that even mean?
As Greta Gerwig denies that a Barbie sequel is in the works, she is keeping herself busy developing a Chronicles of Narnia movie for Netflix.
Yep.
And we've already heard something worrying about it from a producer. This says, producer Amy Pascal has a surprising description of Greta Gerwig's Chronicles of Narnia movie. While speaking with Deadline, Amy Pascal teased that Greta Gerwig's upcoming movie will be a, quote, very new take on Narnia. It's all about rock and roll. She emphasized that she's never seen anything like Greta Gerwig and reminisced on when she, quote, barged into my office and said Little Women has been done wrong. and she hadn't even made Lady Bird yet. From that moment, she asserted that she had complete confidence in Gerwig, and there is nobody like Greta.
Look, you can't argue with her track record. Okay, you can't argue with the money that she made. And no, like I said, one of the things that I harp on about here is that you should be getting work commensurate with what you've brought in. And she has every right to get the get the directing roles and the producing roles that she wants right now, because she has delivered a film that gives the studio a reason to reinvest in her work. That makes perfect sense to me. But I don't think that they have the guts to make a Ken spin-off movie, which I think would be the one that would actually do really, really well.
I'm sure that they made a huge amount of money from Knuff merch after the Barbie movie came out. But the message behind that I really disliked.
In what way?
The kind of moral that they were trying to impart from Ken's storyline, his B plot, basically, is that he should have never wanted Barbie's affections in the first place.
Just been happy on his own.
Yeah, he should have just been so self-fulfilled that he never was looking for Barbie's affection or attention in the first place.
Which is weird, because she's
that's
married.
why she rejected him.
It's weird because she's married. Like, the Greta Gerwig is married and understands that marriage and love is a real thing. I would assume. I'm assuming she
wrote the damn movie with her husband.
Assuming they like each other somewhat. So, the idea is that feminist messaging is so deeply imprinted in Hollywood and in the people who work there, that even though they live lives that run contrary to the message that they're pushing in the film, I guess you could make the argument that this would be the precursor to it, that maybe they do if we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, that first they self-actualize and then they find love second time around. Would that be better? Like, what if they actually made the sequel the love story? That might actually be a huge hit.
It might be a redemption moment, but they're not going to do that. And I think the idea that you need to, quote unquote, self-actualize before you're capable of loving someone else is incredibly destructive. And as you said, the people writing these stories in Hollywood live lives that are totally dissimilar from what they promote to their audiences.
Correct.
So Greta Gerwig, meanwhile, is married and writing the Barbie movie with her husband.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a bonding experience for them. And they're writing a movie about how men and women can't live in harmony and don't need each other. And that's insane.
It feels like for the most part, it won't be able to be as big the second time around. So, think about the cultural impact of Todd Phillips' 2019 Joker. And what it meant for the culture at that time, and then what happened when they waited 4 years or 5 years to make a sequel. Didn't hit at all the same the second time around.
5 years to make a sequel is nasty work, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Y'all are lazy.
Well, I mean, he actually can claim COVID because that started right after.
And then the strike. Yeah.
But the point being that sometimes something hits the cultural zeitgeist all at one time, and you can't really recapture that magic. Now, I did see a joke post about Oppenheimer getting a sequel, and I put Oppenheimer 2 Electric Boomaloo, and it's where Oppenheimer from Earth 1 Oppenheimer hops to Earth 2 Oppenheimer, played by Idris Elba, and then they blow something up over there, right? So you're not going to get Barbenheimer twice. No, you can't do that. I mean, unless they make an Einstein movie and they make Barbenstein and then Barbenstein 2, right? There's no way to recapture that magic. It was a very, very specific cultural moment. And even if they plotted with another studio to release some other stupid movie at that same time, the natural interest from the public won't be there, not in the same way. The memes wouldn't be the same.
Right, you can't even recreate it when it comes to Wicked and Gladiator 2, so why would you think you can recreate it with a Barbie sequel?
Glicked.
I most of all don't trust someone like Greta Gerwig with a property like Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
What they have indicated so far is that Greta Gerwig's first Narnia movie, meaning this is a slate of movies, is going to be adapting The Magician's Nephew instead of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So she's just getting started. And I don't like the idea of Greta Gerwig taking up the mantle for a story that is so blatantly Christian. I mean, it's to the point where even Tolkien said that it was too on the nose with its Christian
Really?
symbolism.
Okay.
Tolkien was like, he was like throwing
Calm
shade
down, yeah.
at C.S. Lewis because he was like, bro, like this is like way too on the nose what you're doing here. Like,
there a
I'm just
director-
writing stories. I'm not writing Christian stories, but you're writing super Christian stories, and it's like too much.
Is there a director or a writer that you could see doing this work? Mel Gibson, maybe? Like,
Well,
I mean, of the C.S. Lewis stuff?
They already did it. I more so would like to see possibly the space trilogy get adapted into film, but even then, I kind of just don't want to see anything anymore. Like, I'm just so done. And especially if it's a story that was created by someone
Look, I
that
felt
only like this prior era could have fostered. Like, I just don't think someone like C.S. Lewis exists today. I don't think that someone like Tolkien exists today.
I mean, that apathy kind of holds true for most of the entertainment. I tried watching the Dexter prequel. I got through one episode, and I just shrugged my shoulders and said, I don't care. They even got an actor who kind of mildly looks like, not even looks like him, but like if you put their pictures where they're really trying to make him look like him, they can kind of pull it off. They have, like Harry is played, like they had a great actor in the original one, and they have a great actor in the new one. And it was James Remar in the first one in the original series, and it's Christian Slater in the prequel. And all I can think was like Dexter was a moment in time. 2006 was very different than now. I don't want to I don't want to find out how he got to be who he was. I don't care. And I turned it off after one episode.
They forget that these characters are fictional at the end of the day, and they don't have backstories unless you force them to.
Yeah.
But they say Pascal's comment about Greta Gerwig having a very new take on Narnia is unsurprising. The rock and roll description is more perplexing.
It doesn't mean anything.
As a beloved children's fantasy story about young people traveling to a magical world, which also serves as a Christian allegory, rock and roll is the last description that would normally be used to describe C.S. Lewis's books or their adaptations. Amy Pascal's remark teases that Greta Gerwig's adaptation will go far beyond a traditional reboot.
Did anybody ever think to ask that maybe they don't want it to go far beyond? Maybe they want it to be like just a traditional...
But that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Given the feminist themes in Greta Gerwig's previous movies, Lady Bird, Little Women, and Barbie, her Chronicles of Narnia stories are expected to be more feminist than their source material. And C.S. Lewis is just rolling in his grave right now, I'm sure.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.